In October 2023, I dropped out of Cornell. My disabilities had become too much for me to handle, and I left in the middle of the semester, never intending to return again. Believing I would never study engineering, I was devastated. Part of the issue, the accommodations I needed from the Student Disability Services took months to approve, and by the time they were there for makeup exams, it was too late. The damage was done. I never want any student at Cornell ever again to feel the need to drop out because of a lack of proper testing accommodations, and that's why I'm advocating for Cornell to build a testing center to accommodate students with disabilities. So, sadly, I have some issues with the Student Disability Services and specifically testing that lead me to believe that we should build a testing center at Cornell. So first, I have Tourette's, which is a neurological disorder that causes involuntary movements, both vocal and physical. And during exam times, I've been yelling and grunting, which can distract students, and especially those with already have sensory issues and lower their scores, which means I need an individual room that was not approved. And so a testing center would help. Second, I had a disability that I needed to reschedule an exam. And so this actually accommodation was recently removed because it exceeds equal access. And now the professors have to schedule it, which is more burden for them. They may not let me do a second reschedule. And so it'd be much easier on the administration and streamlined process to have a testing center. And so more than just students with disabilities can benefit from a testing center in total. And this is not just limited to students with disabilities, but also student athletes that are away at games, even students with testing, taking anxiety, and others with exam conflict. So for example, in my probability and statistics class, over 30 people had an exam conflict at the same time, and we couldn't find a group to share time to schedule the exam. So instead we took it during lecture, during the most important section, which could have hurt some of our final scores. So we need to do better for the students, faculties, and staff, and that's why I'm advocating for this testing center. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the Cornellian students actually want better disability services in general, and I have some data to back it up. So in the 2025 Cornell Undergraduate Experience Survey, there were 24% of students that were satisfied or very satisfied with the disability services, not much. 1/4 felt their needs and their disabilities were addressed at Cornell, and 63% used or accessed accommodations, meaning we need to improve the situation at Cornell and build this testing center. And so it actually stems from personal experiences. I was inspired to do this because I studied at Santa Rosa Junior College, and they had a testing center. And so after one meeting with the Disability Resources Department there, I actually got a testing accommodation to have an individual cubicle that I could go anytime throughout the week and take a test. And I thought, why can't Cornell do the same? So this testing center is not just a dream, but a potential reality. So Welliver Construction is the Cornell's contracted construction company that has built actually buildings that have well exceeded the technical difficulty of a sort of office building type testing center, as you can see, like the recent North Campus building developments for dining and housing. And so also, there have been 9 buildings in the past year that have been remodeled or built, so in Cornell has ample land to build a testing center. But how would we actually fund this? So there are a few ways using the endowment, which is $11.8 billion, grants and trusts. And so there are actually New York State Education Department grants of $4 million that we can use to improve disability services for post-secondary institutions like Cornell. At a cost of $306 per square foot, it's achievable. You know, actually, the Cornell Health Center, which serves disabled students, was started with a generous donation from Frank Gannett, and there are charitable trusts like the Weil Family Foundation that we could ask for support that have already donated hundreds of millions of dollars total. So let's do it. So first, we have to get some support from different groups on campus, and so one of the groups that we could do is ask student groups like Student Neurodiversity Alliance at Cornell to have testifying from students to share their experiences with testing center and like how it could help. And also we could ask Student Disability Services staff for their ideas. And finally, we could actually talk to student representatives that could talk in the student assembly about why a testing center is important and maybe use some of the student funding. So all in all, I believe that Team Lovelace, we should totally build a testing center, or at least do that for our project, because It could help thousands of students with disabilities, student athletes, those with testing anxiety, and help improve the disability services at Cornell. And we could do so using charitable trusts, grants, and the endowment in order to construct a building with well over construction and improve the lives of so many. Because I never want any Cornellian student to feel the way I did when I dropped out. Thank you so much.